Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live at 11:34 a.m. on a Thursday, January 14th, halfway through January, and feels like the world is either half imploding and half doing incredible things. And probably the best statement is that we're experiencing significant systemic change, and it's our job um, as our own personal fiduciary to act in our best financial interest and make the most rational and logical decisions necessary to win at the game of life. That's a decent statement, a reasonable statement. Well, I like to think of financials not from a greed perspective. It's from just doing well perspective and doing right and making good choices, and each choice is a win. Not It's not about if you turn $100 into $1 million. It's the individual choices and the journey that counts, and the experience and the story that you get to tell of how you get to where you may eventually find yourself. It's the story, boys and girls. Today, significant action in the crypto space. Let's dig in. I couldn't think of another damn title to write. That's just, we're going to dig in onto a lot of assets today because basically it's just all vertical. And yeah, big old period. Right about there. Today's episode, along with all episodes, is sponsored by Change Angel, the non-custodial swap exchange for social goods. Stop depositing on exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto, non-custodial, DeFi, or nothing at all. Bam! Let's pop it over to the main screen and see what's going on. Yeah, I got Bitcoin up. I'm just, let's see who's in the stream. Heirlooms in the house, always a pleasure. Return of the bull. Bam! Igor, all crypto humans, my man. Captain Weber, always a pleasure. Crypto Bruce Lee, Digibyte, love that. Digibyte, the chart doesn't love us, and we'll take a look. Let's take a look real quick because I don't shy away from DGBBTC. We pop it out to the weekly. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. This is not something you should allocate a lot of value to at the moment. So here's the bottom line. Bitcoin is significantly outperforming Digibyte. It is down, if not barely horizontal. Never go in, never spread too thin. All of my famous sayings. So what I like to see, and when you take, this is a large speculative position, is when it starts to go up. You buy things that are going up. You sell things that are going down. You don't buy things that are going down unless you're talking about something that fits into a larger picture. Now, that's the truth is Bitcoin is different. It fits the global macro financial narrative. It has the network effect. The alt assets don't. They don't have their place in the system yet. It's a speculative position implying substantially, significantly more risk. Obviously, more risk, more reward. But I also wrote on Twitter shortly ago, if an asset's going down, it's likely to keep going down. If an asset's going up, it's likely to keep going up. If you buy something waiting for a top or a bottom, it's a fool's errand. Bad investment strategy. So what I would like to see, as I always say, is you wait for a Digibyte to rip to 100. It'll go up 50%. Then you wait for it to dip to 90 and then rip another 50%. And fine, now you're talking. Now you got an asset that's going up. You buy things that are going up. I'm not a fan of the buy the dip mentality. Bitcoin is different. I'll continue to say that. Ethereum is now different. Ethereum is literally a component of a burgeoning nascent financial system. And how do I know that? I'll let this page load and I'll show you the deal. Matt Penny, Hawaii mortgage loan officer in the house. Welcome, thank you. Crypto Chick, always a pleasure. Crypto Bruce Lee. I'm okay. I'm not the man. I try and help folks. Peter Stover, Bitcoin 40K. Yeah, Bitcoin is ripping it. BTC USD. Wow. 39,600. I mean, look at that compared to the all-time previous. This is the most incredible weekly chart. I just on trend. And Will, you guys look at Willy Woo's last post. He just paints an incredible picture. Got to look at his data. The Bitcoin's becoming illiquid. The number of liquid Bitcoins is dropping significantly, and it has garnered the attention of the people that have a capacity to accumulate significant amounts of the still liquid Bitcoin, which is going to further exacerbate the supply shock, which will further trigger asymmetric price appreciation in the face of the inevitable social programs of the U.S., which are a complicated topic, controversial, some positive aspects, some negative aspects. Obviously, hard money assets will do well in that type of environment. We get into the whole inflation and structural inflation, as Raul talks about, and which is fascinating. They want to print trillions and they have to print trillions and disseminate it around the world. That's the only way they're going to get the structural inflation they need in order to devalue the dollar, so that they could actually service the debt. So this is why I look at the DXY, which is not necessarily the best representation of the dollar versus. It's dollar versus euro, more or less, a bit of basket of other currencies as well. Predominantly the euro, but this is significantly bearish. One, a double top. Two, smacked into the 200 EMA on the 4 hour to the upside. Three, lower high, more or less. Four, rounding stoke, which means, and it's about to do a bearish signal cross. So this thing is imminently going to experience depreciation, and RSI is on the downswing. So this is going to remain in this falling wedge. It'll probably retrace back down to trend support and dare it break trend support to the downside. Just watch if this one chart, yet alone the other US dollar pairs, this one chart breaks trend to the downside, you'll see what happens to gold miners, silver miners, and the crypto space. It's good and bad. That's good and bad, and that's complicated from a macro financial, traditional financial perspective. Barry's in the house. Always a pleasure. Crypto Brucey, am I high? I look happy. No, it's a good day. I work from home, and I'm looking at the space. I do well. I take care of my family. I get worried about civil unrest. That's about it, which is definitely something to be worried about right about now in the continent of the United States. But otherwise, I'm happy that I could take care of my family. My daughters are happy. They're in school, and that's all that matters to me. I could take care of them and do well for my family. What's up, Mustafa? What's up with XSN? Well, StakeNet is old school. So there's two different stories in the crypto space. It's the burgeoning DeFi financial system. I'm going to just call it straight up financial system at this point because of this page I loaded. Uniswap has done $650 million in transactions today. Sushi Swap, 256 million. Curve, 235 million. 1inch, 159 million. 0x, 111. This is a birth. You're witnessing the birth of an entire financial system that has monetary velocity. It has a yield curve. This is the most incredible thing, and it's happening right in front of your eyes. It's not that everyone says it like I do, but that is what's occurring. You don't just spontaneously have monetary velocity. Monetary velocity is based on human behavior and incentives and financial opportunity, which means this is only going to accelerate. Why? We only have one real historic precedence in short-term human history, which is the legacy financial systems. And when you start to have monetary velocity and people start to see incentive and opportunity, the emotional response is to participate, to extract the value and the capital gain, and to win. So this is only going to increase. There's no logical reason that counter human behavior will trigger a reversal of the trend. The humans will want to participate. This will only increase. Ethereum at all-time high, pretty much. I don't even look at Ethereum at this point. I look at the Bitcoin because has a much more macro financial role. But Ethereum is the value of Ethereum is the fuel, is to participate in these DeFi systems, and that's what's driving the demand and the appreciation. Yeah, you need a lot of gas to participate. right now it's $100, $200 a transaction on Uniswap, or definitely on 1inch with its layered smart contracts on Uniswap. It's probably cheaper, maybe $75, $100 at 181 Gwei, given Ethereum's price. So you need a significant amount of Ethereum to merely participate in Aave, Curve, Bancor, uh, swapping Bitcoin for Ren BTC, so on and so forth. You just a lot of gas. There's a lot of gas to operate in these DeFi financial products. So that there's a demand for Ethereum, and that's what's driving Ethereum's price. And obviously, the psychological impact of Bitcoin appreciating is driving Ethereum's price, and the psychological impact of Bitcoin is driving everything's price. It just goes up. We talk both CS.org, we talk charts and fundamentals. Fundamentals tells you the why, and the technicals tell you the when and what's going on. It's basically it's a big story. This is welcome to a story channel. This is 30 minutes of story per day. Includes technicals as well as fundamentals. Bam! Whales coming in droves. Yeah, that's exactly what Willy Woo said this morning. Go look up his tweet on Twitter. Yeah, I don't know why I don't have more subs. It is what it is, Crypto Bruce Lee. I try my best. I'll continue what I'm doing, and the thing is, I do it for me because this is a great way for me to process and digest my ideas. And in the process of doing that, I am hopeful to help other people. Thank you, Crypto Check. I appreciate it. Thank you, Matt Penny, as well. Ethereum is a monster. Understatement. CS.org, what's your take on Syscoin 4.2? Syscoin falls into the StakeNet and the BlockNet and the Firo, which was Zcoin, and definitely a fair amount of other old school UTXO assets. They're not shining right now because DeFi has clouded. It's just but they're the storm on the horizon. The old school UTXOs that rallied rip roaring in 2017 are BlockNet, StakeNet, Syscoin, Zcoin, now Firo. These things I expect at some point to find their way and gain their traction, especially as StakeNet and BlockNet come online with their DEXs, and especially as interoperability solutions like Ren. And as Polkadot emerges, pushing interoperability and extending the Ethereum DeFi space, and Cosmos as well, pushing interoperability and extending the DeFi space, and the BSN with their permissioned way they're permissioning these public blockchains. Yeah, we could say what we want about Chinese government policy and state control and censorship, and look what we're doing in the U.S. So, and one and two, governments need permission systems. There's no government on the planet that would operate on a public unpermissioned network. Banks need permission systems. So aside from all the political conversation that could be had with the BSN and what China's doing with regard to blockchain, is a it might even be more of a massive driving force and narrative for Bitcoin's appreciation than the whales and hard money type of stories. China's changing the world with their government blockchain BSN policies. Simple as that. Newly minted Bitcoin whales will have spent a minimum of 4.5 billion in the last 10 days. Now you're talking. Crypto Lark. All right, he's got some good content as well. I mean, everything's ripping. Ren is pushing close to all-time dollar high. It's about was that 25% off at this point. 49.3 cents. Incredible to see. Rook, damn. Rook's at $275. You guys know I've talked about it. It's hard to say, folks, to get a position at this point. This thing, my position was like at $67, $275. We don't, and it's quite speculative. We don't know what's going to happen until February 1st, but you look at their treasury and how much value they've accumulated by their keeper, arbitrage, and strategic mempool processes. This is empirically a money printer. Their platform literally extracts value out of the DeFi space by capitalizing on strategic opportunities. this is incredible to see. Just a money printer. So um, be careful, but the the story of what they're doing is profound and meaningful, and I can't speak too much as to taking a position or not. That's always a personal decision, as I always tell everyone. Curve is rallying, is back to 75 cents. Synthetics is an absolute monster with its L2 solution. They're imminently releasing, which is going to allow you to stake on L2. From what I see in Kane's post, it's going to take some time to roll out L2 functionality to other types of features in the ecosystem. But staking alone costs a fortune. You're talking $30 to claim some synthetics. It's an unbearable thing. So if you have an L2 solution for staking, taking SNX and minting SUSD, one, that's going to encourage significant value to go into the platform. Two, that's going to allow people to actually claim their yield, whereas sometimes people question, is it even worthwhile to claim their yield if you have to, right now it's probably $75 at 157 Gwei. And three, L2 and that type of relief from gas price fees, yeah, that's going to draw in immense value into their ecosystem, and it's not going to want to come out. Once people emotionally experience that type of environment, that type of experience, the money's going to be trapped in synthetics. And how do you get money into synthetics? You take SNX and you mint SUSD, or you buy SUSD on the open market. That's their stablecoin. That's how money gets into the system. So here's a good one. If the current, take a look at the current lock rate for synthetics. 74% of all synthetics in an inflationary environment. It's an inflationary asset, but 74% of all synthetics is currently locked, which means it's illiquid, which means it's removed from circulation. It's removed from a buying opportunity. No one could buy it. So, and if L2 exacerbates this, synthetics price appreciation literally might just be starting. I remember synthetics at the beginning of 2020 at 70 cents is where my original positions were. It's sitting at $15.39. This thing could just keep going up. 150 bucks, 15, 20 billion, especially if Bitcoin hits a couple of trillion and Ethereum's at a half a trillion dollars market cap. There's no reason you can't have a 20, 30, 40, 50 billion dollar synthetics in that type of big picture environment for the entire crypto space. 1inch is on the upswing, obviously benefiting from Ethereum's price appreciation, sitting at $1.38. 1inch is a recurring revenue stream where you providing staking to their governance and participating in their governance produces, I believe, 47% yield last time I checked. That is ridiculous. And Curve is at 67% yield right now for VE Curve participation. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Um, it's really cool to see. Um, what's my take on the current euphoria? I don't see much euphoria right now. What I see is participation, and I see people taking interest in projects for the first time. Euphoria is when you're up 10x. Euphoria is when Bancor and Kyber were up 10x last summer, 1,000%. That is euphoria is when you start to see the small cap assets pulling 1,000%. 5,000%. Euphoria was when Bitcoin is at $250,000, Ethereum is at $5,7,500, and we're not at euphoria. If anyone was around in 2017, the Digibyte will be at $1 in euphoria this time around. It's just the assets and the other UTXO assets that we love, Blocknet, StakeNet, Firo. These boys are gonna. They were at incredible valuations back in 2017. They will have their day, in my opinion. And if they don't, I still believe in their projects and I will participate. If you can't scale your solution, you're just sitting duck, really. Not entirely, but I understand your point. So the whales don't give a shit about 131 Gwei. The whales probably don't give a shit about 500 Gwei. If they had to spend $500 an Ethereum transaction, believe me, if you're dropping $1 million into a Uniswap transaction, you don't give a crap about a $500 transaction. If you're dropping $1 million into Curve or $1 million into 1inch, participating in governance, or 5 million, $10 million into Rook and Keeper DAO, you don't give a shit about a $500 transaction. So the whales don't care. It does price out retail, but there's something like 40, 50 million millionaires around the world. Yeah, they don't really care about a couple $100 transactions to specifically to take a position. They're not doing transaction trading. That's not what whales do. Whales take positions based on strategy. Newbie here, opinion on my staking my SNX at Celsius versus XNX directly. That's not bad. All things considered, wait for the L2 solution, which is pretty much imminent at this point. And it'll pay more. So synthetics at synthetics pays about 30 and change percent, and synthetics on Celsius pays less. So there's nothing wrong with Celsius. I believe in what Mashinsky's doing. I think Celsius and BlockFi are going to be extraordinarily successful in a climate where the banks give you no money, and it's possibly in the future where they take your money and you have a negative interest rate on your bank account. I think with synthetics, Cresco FinCEN in Switzerland these boys have the potential to become systemic components of legacy financial infrastructure, providing products and services to people to escape the enslavement of the banking system. People think it's okay that the banks give you 0.02% interest, and they're charging someone 2.5% on a mortgage. They're stealing your money. That's truth. But should we not look towards retail adoption? In what regard? Percent gains means nothing if you don't take liquidity into the equation. What, as in like realizing gains, taking profits? So the question now becomes, I think, considering Willie Will talking about S-curve adoption, where are you going to take your gains? Where are you going to realize your yield? Are you going to realize it into dollar denominated value, hoping that it appreciates? There are no bull runs in fiat. The dollar does not appreciate. The socialist programs that are going to be realized over the next 4 years they have to devalue the dollar from a global macro financial system perspective. That's the only way they could service the debt load. So, and plus, that also puts the U.S. in a position to if they significantly devalue the dollar, that puts the U.S. in a position to be a manufacturer and export. The reason that's reason why we have the trade deficits is because we have a strong dollar, and it's more business optimal to manufacture overseas. But if they significantly weaken the dollar and then they print a couple of trillion and rebuild manufacturing in the United States, we could become an exporter again. So these are the types of thought exercises and conversations that are assuredly being had at the highest levels of government, is how to restructure the U.S. financial system. I know international organizations are thinking about how to restructure the global financial system. You got the crypto space that's literally birthing an entire financial system in front of your eyes. And what's happening is everyone's entertaining the conversation of how to put all this fucking puzzle pieces together. Ha! It's crazy. Dave Miller, Noah with the sermon from the mount, baby. Woo! There's a bit fire today. I'm gonna have to repost this video. It's crazy. Yeah, retail. Listen, here's the bottom line. The whales. This is the whales market, especially with Ethereum, with gas prices, and whales are driving Bitcoin as well. Retail, they're just going to cause the most insane, irrational exuberance. But here's the thing, and I think this is the case, and a lot of the big thinkers are thinking it as well, specifically with the S-curve adoption narrative. It's going to go up. And just like the stock market, it's going to go up and go up and go up and keep going up. This market is just starting, really. The DeFi summer last year wasn't this rally. This is the Bitcoin rally. This is the crypto rally. This is a very different market than DeFi summer 2020 when everything was up 10x. This is different. And that may have been retail. Retail rallies, that's the irrational exuberance. That comes down. The rally that we're experiencing, I think, in the crypto space is whale rally, which retail is just going to be explosive. It'll come back down. But if you go to 500,000 and you retrace down to 250,000 or 100,000 over the next 5 years, 10 years, at the bottom of the next Bitcoin cycle is $250,000. Yeah, you see what I'm saying, boys and girls? Retail could take it however high they want, but whales are going to keep it high because of the global financial topics we discuss. Smack those thumbs up buttons, says the crypto chick. Thank you very much. If you can't go up, if you can't scale retail, that's a different. Listen, retail is participating in the crypto space for speculative purposes. Retail doesn't give a shit about using it as a currency. They don't care or give a fuck about using it as a financial payment vehicle. CBDCs will win. They will retain control. There'll be a digital dollar. There'll be a digital euro. There's already a digital yuan. That's what everyone may not be seeing. China has a digital yuan. They are so far ahead of what the U.S. has to catch up on. They have the Chinese blockchain initiative. You can look at them on Twitter. The BSN is the National Blockchain Initiative of China, the government policy. It's like the United States having a Department of freaking crypto, and we don't. Whew. So that's what's going on in China. That's crazy. And I don't think it's talked about enough. Do you expect another 2-year bear market after we peak? Quite a speculative thought. There's no way to know. I expect whatever bear market to occur in the future, you'll be far retired before you have to give a shit how low it goes. Especially if you're in now, you're way early. DeFi is still only 5% of the crypto market. Yeah. When you see synthetics at a $10 billion valuation processing $1 billion a day in transactions, that's when NASDAQ and the Dow Jones have to start making some adjustments, because they quickly realize that synthetics could spin up a synthetic asset and probably in a day, where it takes probably months to spin up an asset or a fund or some sort of vehicle, an ETF on the legacy financial markets, be it whatever market. There's nothing that is sustainable about the legacy financial markets now, considering literally 1 year of production release for these DeFi platforms. Clearly, synthetics, lend, Bancor with the original AMM, and everything that's occurred in 2020 has proven that the crypto space has deprecated the legacy financial system. It is inferior. It is officially, no questions asked, inferior and on the way out. The monetary velocity in the crypto space is vertical. And M2 velocity, I'll end on this note. So we don't have a chart for the crypto space, but if you're doing $1 billion a day in transactions, and you go over to Aave and they have billions of TVL, total value locked in, and Curve has another 2 billion, the monetary velocity is vertical. This is the monetary velocity of basically our legacy financial system. It collapsed. And I'll remind you all, the pandemic had nothing to do with it. The financial system, the US dollar, collapsed in September of 2019. If you recall the repo operations that the Fed instantiated. Yeah, that's non-trivial. The banks failed. The banks weren't lending, which ground the entire financial system to a halt and would have shot interest rates through the stratosphere. So the banks came in, the Fed came in and started lending, which basically means the financial system failed in September of 2019, had nothing whatsoever to do with the pandemic. If we let the state dictate our finances, we're back to square one, which is why DeFi is so incredibly meaningful. The state will always be there. The state will dictate or attempt to dictate. And here's the thing, the vast majority will comply. The vast majority don't listen to me. The vast majority don't listen to Real Vision. The vast majority, unfortunately, don't have a capacity to understand probably most aspects of these broad concepts. And it's not horrible. So what we need is the crypto space to keep doing what it's doing and pushing the legacy systems in honorable, altruistic directions, if that could actually be achieved. So The legacy systems aren't going anywhere. The vast majority of global population will participate in the legacy systems. We'll all be using CBDCs. We won't have paper money in the next couple of years. And they speculate Fed accounts and forced expenditure. So they have to fix this. This is probably a nightmare on their minds right now, because what they have to do is they have to force this to go up. So how do they force this to go up? They give everyone digital dollars. They give everyone an account with the U.S. Federal Reserve. And they give everyone $2,000 a month and say, if you don't spend this $2,000 a month, you lose it. And that'll force the expenditure of hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars. And that's how you get monetary velocity through the roof. And if you're giving away free money, that's going to encourage people to borrow money. So monetary velocity is both the expenditure and the borrowing of money. The reason the borrowing of money creates velocity is because you now have more money in the system. If you borrow $1,000, you have $1,000 that I just borrowed, but the bank also has $1,000 on their books as a debt. They're owed $1,000, so there's $2,000, and that's the way the books balance with, and that's how money is created. At least that's how they talk about money being created, and it's just the way it works. It's the truth. We do have a voice. I use it. Everyone else is welcome. Twitter, it's all good. We all have a voice. You're absolutely right. Heirloom, we must teach each other, improve each other's minds, and share ideas. Literally, that's all I do. I talk about what I've seen, what I've experienced, what I've learned from Real Vision, what I've learned from Raul, what I've learned from Lynn Alden, what I've learned from George Gammon, Stephen Van Meter. Just the list goes on and on. Willie Woo's incredible lately. Data is absolutely incredible. That's the name of the game. Let's wrap it up. 12:05 p.m. on Thursday, January 14th. As always, thank you all for joining me. Smack those thumbs up buttons. Tell everyone to subscribe, and I wish you all a wonderful day. Keep it real. I will see you tomorrow. Peace.